Welcome to Earnings Through NLP, your programmatic company transcript analysis, a new podcast created more than 95% programmatically by machines, based on results coming out of our natural language processing (NLP) related research. It is meant to be the equivalent of a morning call in the financial markets by focusing on the facts disclosed by companies in their earnings calls and annual reports. The goal of the podcast is very simple: to flag information facts that could incentivize people to do more research on certain companies. With each person having their own investment needs and style, it is impossible to make this an exhaustive service, hence the focus is to provide enough facts that could arouse research interest into companies. We believe there is too much noise in the market clouding the actual facts, and hence decided to let the machines do the information parsing for us, because one can't be more objective than mathematics. There won't be any opinions or recommendations, only the facts as they appear in each company's disclosure. No opinions, just mathematics.
The system responsible for creating the podcast will be made of two parts. The main function, which is NLP, natural language processing, based, responsible for listening to the analyst call, creating the transcript, then identifying relevant pieces of information from such transcript. This is the focus of our attention and ongoing research. The market function that will be accessing the market data for the ticker. The podcast is not going to be about technology in general or programming in particular. Our goal is to have technology create a podcast that is relevant to people interested in investment research, not discuss the technology itself.
The podcast structure will be very simple. For each company, our system will parse the analyst call and flag the main facts first, then identify the more relevant qualitative information updates, drill down on specific items, and finish by checking the overall sentiment analysis for such items. Last, it will check the results of the trading simulation by the algorithms on the MarkSign Algo platform. The following minutes are a sample of such an earnings call presentation. We have decided to use Micron, Mu, earnings analyst calls, both from 2:30 p.m. and 4 p.m. on March 30th, for the initial launch of our podcast.
Micron announced results on March 30th, 2022. Interesting facts picked up from the call. A 5G handset would normally have 50% more DRAM and more than double the NAND amount when compared to a 4G handset. NAND revenue was $2 billion, about 25% of Micron's revenues. Usually about 1.4 billion smartphones are sold annually, and last year 500 million of those were 5G. We expect that to be 700 million this year. Some of the Level 3 autonomous driving EVs have $750 in memory and storage content, which is 15 times more than the average car. More than 75% of the business is now under LTAs, which are usually quarterly volume agreements going out usually 4 quarters. Logic Foundry is expected to be tight into 2023. Mobile business was $1.9 billion, down 2% sequentially and up 4% year-on-year. Storage business was $1.2 billion, up 2% sequentially and 38% year-over-year. Compute and networking business was $3.5 billion, up 2% sequentially and 31% year-over-year. Embedded business was $1.3 billion, up 5% sequentially and 37% year-over-year. Machines also focused on the more qualitative remarks by management, flagging the following. Company business is tracking ahead of the company plans a quarter ago, and demand is strong across most end markets. Most of the sequential growth in fiscal quarter 3 is driven by the compute market, which is mostly DRAM, and then the storage market, which is mostly NAND. Second half of 2022 should be strong for data centers, as new CPUs are being launched. Data centers became the largest market for memory and storage in 2021, bigger than the mobile market. Server DRAM is not the largest DRAM business. NAND business to grow faster than DRAM business in fiscal quarter 3. Looking ahead, the company expects data center demand growth to outpace the broader memory and storage market growth over the next decade, driven mainly by cloud and enterprise IT investments. Finally, we drilled down on specific items to see if there was enough relevant information. On the business environment, company is flagging a challenging environment for equipment and materials supply. On CapEx, the company expects fiscal 2022 CapEx to be $11 billion to $12 billion, roughly evenly split between first and second half. Company not expecting a negative impact on materials volume supply, but does expect costs to increase, especially for the materials at risk as a result of the Russia-Ukraine war. Last, we used sentiment analysis to see how the analyst call sounded about specific topics. About costs, the sentiment was 62% negative. About investments, the sentiment was 88% positive. About growth, the sentiment was 64% positive. About outlook, the sentiment was 56% positive.
A short look at how algorithms on Mark's Sign Algo simulate company trading identifies algorithm buy sign 001 as the best algorithm for buy and hold, with a 137% return over the last 5 years while being 58% of the time in cash.
Last, for those interested in learning how to build their own algorithms, check out our book on Amazon, or if happy to take it slower, our free education series on YouTube.